Does OCD tell you that you are racist or that people are going to think you're racist? You're not alone. We're going to talk all about it. Stay tuned. That's what's up next. Hi, my name is Natasha Daniels. I'm a therapist. I make videos for people with anxiety or OCD. And today I want to talk to you about a very common intrusive thought that is very upsetting and often not recognized as an OCD thought. But before I get started, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified because I do make new videos every single Thursday. Okay, so let's talk about this intrusive thought related to OCD that tells you I might be racist or I might be perceived as racist. What's that about? Well, actually, it's incredibly common. And a lot of times people don't realize that this is a very common OCD thought. The core fear often centers around the fear of being a bad person or turning into a bad person, which makes sense with moral OCD, that worrying that you're going to be racist could be part of that. Sometimes it's around social anxiety and OCD teaming up. If everybody knew or thought that I was racist, then I'm going to be canceled, or I'm going to be exposed, or I'm going to be embarrassed, right? So a loss of control. Whatever the core fear is for you, the thought is the same for many, many of you. And let's talk about that. And so a lot of times people will have intrusive thoughts about thinking bad things or doing bad things, and losing control or being embarrassed or disappointing God or disappointing people, right? And being racist is a common one because that's really upsetting. Most of us, hopefully, don't want to be racist, right? And interestingly enough, OCD picks the things that you value. And so often, OCD will target things that you feel are important, including not being racist, right? So the people that I've seen in my practice and the people that I've seen in my online community who struggle with this thought, with this intrusive thought, are like the least racist people. Not that I'm giving you reassurance, but I'm telling you the facts, right? Because it upsets you is why OCD is spoon feeding it to you. If it didn't upset you, it wouldn't be an OCD thought, because that's how OCD works. So the first thing I want you to get from this video is that you are not alone. It is a really common intrusive thought. 2, people who are really kind-hearted and really care about other people's feelings and don't want to be or aren't racist often have this thought because it goes against your values of who you actually are. And 3rd, we're going to talk about some slippery slopes of how you can actually make this thought worse by doing the natural thing. And that is debating with OCD. So one thing that OCD wants you to do is feed it. It wants you to feed it through compulsions. It gives you an intrusive thought or feeling that's, oh, you're racist, or you just had a racist thought, or you said that and people are going to think that was racist. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how it starts, right? Intrusive thought. And then OCD is not done with you, right? OCD is demanding. It wants you to do or avoid something to get that brief relief. It's a circle with OCD. Anxiety just makes you anxious and you just sit there, oh, I'm really anxious, right? Not pleasant. But OCD is bossy. It wants you to do or avoid something to get brief relief. It's a cycle, right? Intrusive thought. Need to do or avoid something to get brief relief. I do it because OCD told me to do it, or I avoid it because OCD told me to avoid it. And now, more thoughts, more compulsions, more doing and avoiding to get brief relief. And now I'm on this super annoying, vicious hamster wheel that I cannot get off. That's OCD in a nutshell. Regardless of what your intrusive thought or feeling is, regardless of your compulsions, the circle is the same. And so you're on a circle, right? And this is probably one of many circles that you're on. So what is OCD wanting from you? Because that's what you always want to ask yourself when we're trying to crush OCD is, what does OCD want? And a tricky one is it wants you to mentally argue with it. That's a compulsion. That's a mental compulsion. So you might say to yourself, Natasha, I'm not doing anything. I have this thought, it's really upsetting. I don't wash my hands. I don't organize things. I don't tap 3 times. I'm not doing any compulsion. I'm just really upset about this thought. So you have to dive deeper. What are you doing with this thought? Well, I'm arguing with it. I'm saying, I'm not racist, am I? Why would you think I'm racist? Let me think of all the things I've ever done and said and did. Are those racist? Is this racist? What if I did this? Was that racist? Why am I having this thought? Am I racist? Guess what? That's a sneaky, sneaky OCD compulsion. When you ruminate, thinking about it, arguing, debating, those are mental compulsions that grow your OCD. That's super annoying, right? Because that's really hard to control. So what do you do with that? Well, I'm going to say something obvious, but I know that it's really hard to do. Don't get hooked in. It's like OCD's fishing. It puts the loop out, It puts okay, obviously I don't fish. It puts the string out, whatever you call that. And it's looking for you to take the bait, right? It's like, oh, you're racist. It's waiting to reel you in. And as soon as you take that bait and you go, I'm not racist. Now you're hooked in. And now OCD's like, come here. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. Argue with me. Debate with me, right? Check in your mind. Think about things that you've done and said in the past. Let's go. And the more you do that, the bigger OCD's growing. And so the easy thing to say, the hard thing to do is don't get hooked in. What does that look like? Well, when you have that intrusive thought, you say, yep, OCD's knocking at my door. I recognize it's OCD. That's OCD. I'm having an OCD thought. I'm not going to argue with it. If I want to be a little cheeky, I could debate it in a funny way, right? Because OCD is looking for the push and pull. It's looking for the tug of war. And so what you can do, if you want to be a little cheeky, I'm not British. I think it's a British word, cheeky, but I don't know why I'm saying that. But you can go with it, right? And not everybody wants to do that. They might feel uncomfortable or they don't want to do that approach. But you could, if you feel cheeky, is to say, you're right, OCD. Oh yeah, I'm like the most racist person in the world. I am so racist that blah, 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 right? And now you're like, you could be sarcastic with it, right? You're not agreeing with it in a serious, solemn way. You might be agreeing with it in a sarcastic way. Oh yeah, I'm so racist. What you're doing is you're not doing the push and pull. Here's OCD pushing at you and you're like, yeah, let's go. Let's go with it. And you give OCD no traction. So that's number one. That's super important, right? Recognize it's an OCD thought. Don't get hooked in. Ask yourself, what does OCD want me to do in this moment? And then I'm going to do the opposite. So maybe I'm going to agree with it in a sarcastic way. Maybe I'm just not going to get hooked into it. And I'm going to just notice it and let it float away. Everybody has a different style in how they like to approach their intrusive thoughts around OCD. You find yours. I'm just supplying you with some options. Another thing is, what actions are you taking? Are there actions that you're doing? I've worked with people who have all sorts of actual compulsions, physical compulsions, not only mental, around this. They avoid certain words, they avoid certain people, they avoid certain topics, they avoid certain areas. Are you avoiding anything? Are you doing anything, right? What actions are you doing? And that could be literally anything. Compulsions are just symptoms of the bigger issue. So ask yourself, what am I doing to feed OCD? What mental compulsions am I doing? What avoidance am I doing? And I'm going to move slowly towards the things I'm avoiding. Am I avoiding people? Then I'm going to try to find those people. Am I avoiding situations? I'm going to try to put myself in those situations. Am I avoiding words? I might do some exposures where I'm saying those words. Those can be uncomfortable and that can be hard. But what we're trying to do is go against the grain of what OCD wants. The more you stop getting on that hamster wheel and you actually start pedaling in reverse, the more OCD's like, you're super annoying. I'm getting off of this hamster wheel because you're messing up my hamster wheel, right? You're pedaling backwards. Stop doing that. Well, we don't want to stop doing that because that's actually what crushes OCD. So take one small step at a time. Don't do this overnight. Don't do big chunks. You might overwhelm yourself. One small step at a time. What's one thing you can do today to start making progress? Do that one small step. And remember that it doesn't matter what the intrusive thought or feeling is. It's plug and play. So if tomorrow you have a new intrusive thought, totally separate from being racist, it's the same exact framework. What does OCD want me to do or avoid? What things am I doing in my mind or literally out in the world to grow OCD? And what can I do that would be the opposite? That's the basic foundation of how to live a life of crushing OCD. If you want more in-depth support, I do have a course. It is Crushing OCD course for kids and teens. You can check that out at atparentingsurvivalschool.com. I have also classes for parents to take as well. So if you're a parent, you can check those out. I will be back next Thursday with a new topic. Don't forget to find the sparkle in everything you do. Take care.